Hey, welcome everybody to the Resilient Living Podcast. Today I'm joined by my co host and friend, Jared Wilson.
Hey,
And today we're going to talk about the 5 things you should start first on your homestead. And we're going to kind of try to go through what, if I were to take a homestead, what would be kind of some of my top 5 systems to start and why and how.
sure,
So,
which is great because there's a lot of people who are just getting into the movement who are just maybe looking for raw land, and they're like, "Hey, where do I even start?" Because that is such a big hurdle to overcome. Is just where to begin.
yeah. Well, and I'm gonna, I teased with the title a little bit in that there's too many different possibilities. There's too many different subtleties to your property, your goals, etc., that we really can't say, here's 5 things you should do. But I am going to give you 5 of the really common things that people end up doing that I think are really successful and good things to do early. And we'll talk a little bit before we get into that about kind of like goals and how you set goals, how you understand how to set yourself up for success, mindset wise and preparedness wise before you dive into things and cause problems for yourself.
Sure, yeah. Because if I'm going in with a energy, as my priority, that's going to be very different than if I go in, thinking pharmaceuticals, or if I go in thinking, agricultural. It's going to be unique. So yeah, it's good to differentiate.
Yeah, I think one of the things that you need to sit down and think about, talk with your spouse or whoever you're doing this with, if you are, or if you're doing it totally by yourself, is just think through what your goals are. And we've harped on this a lot, and there's a reason I do it. When I send out an intake for somebody who I'm doing a consultation for,
Oh yeah,
one of the actually
I
the
filled out one of
primary
those.
thing. Yeah, that's right. You filled one out. And it hasn't changed much lately. But one of the primary things I'm doing is getting an idea of, I actually force people to prioritize their goals. And so my goals are things like, uh, and you could have your own too. There's going to be others, but things like better food, um, more meat for a lot of people,
Yep.
lower grocery bills, maybe less dependency on utilities, more physical security, better health, less labor over time. Maybe you're aging and you want to set things up so it's less over time. More resilience during power outages, less overreach from the state, things like that. What are your goals? Try to write those out and then put those high level goals in priority so that as you're deciding, what system do I want to build, you do that in a way with your goals in mind, so you don't
Sure.
leave the goals behind and start the system because you saw it on Instagram.
Yeah, right. Yeah. That's the worst is you see all of these, picture perfect things on Instagram or whatever. Like, oh, well, obviously that's what I need to have.
Mm-hmm.
No, very rarely.
No, well, and that was how I got into all this was,
Sure.
I had a health crisis. And so I went, well, I need better food. And the only way I can know what my food is if I start growing it. So I started growing it. And the first year was a abysmal failure. I think we got a couple of snap peas and we got some cherry tomatoes later, but
Okay, there you go.
um, because I didn't do any research. I was just like, my wife had found a really cute looking, vertical garden that you can make out of a pallet. And later I came to figure out that everybody who's posting about those was taking full grown plants and putting them in
And
it and
putting
then
it,
taking pictures because there's no way
like
to
you
get
do.
it. Yeah. So my first year was a total failure. And when that happened, then I started digging into it and learning how to actually plant plants. But you know, if I didn't know what my goal was, I wouldn't take that first step. And the failure was actually important in me getting a kick in the butt to actually learn about it.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. No kidding. All right.
So,
So where do you want to start?
um, so I think we just talked about goals. The other thing is when when you've got a property or you're looking at a property, you need to look at what already exists.
Sure. Yeah, you might buy a property that already has a barn. Awesome.
Mhm.
Or maybe has a pond or a small creek or a spring. Those are amazing resources. Maybe it's all heavily wooded and you're going to have to do some infrastructure setup where you're going to have to, level some areas out so that you can grow stuff or so that you can have critters and pastures.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, when you're looking at what already exists, you've got to then match that with the goals that you just put together and go, you know, does it work? Like on my property, I could probably have a goat or two if I really wanted to push it, but it'd be really hard. And having one animal or two animals just isn't enough you know, to really have a herd and actually make much meat that way.
Yeah,
I've
right.
had to come up with other creative ways to produce meat on my property or with other people. I've had the blessing of working with other people to get meat and actually trade with them instead. So,
Sure.
look at what already exists on the property, see what's useful, see what's meaningful for your goals, and and use what's there, but also don't get stuck in the sunk cost fallacy where
Right.
you're like, this thing's here, somebody's already put it up, I have to use this one.
Oh, yes, very important. Yes, it is. When we first moved in, the garden plot that had been tilled up and all prepped was way in the very, very back. It was a pain to like walk around through, a gate, down this hill, across the backside, just to get to the garden. Like, I'm not keeping my garden back there. That's
Mm-mm.
nope. So garden's out front now.
Yep, good call. Yeah, and even if, let's say, you get a little bit more shade in the front, but you're actually going to be attentive to your garden, and then you're going to see what grows well in that little bit of shade and what grows, your little microclimates where maybe one part of the garden isn't shaded because the tree's shade just kind of misses it, and maybe you
Sure.
grow tomatoes and peppers there and grow lettuce somewhere else where it's shaded during when the sun's, you know in the afternoon or whatever. So um yeah, like, you'll produce so much more because you're actually paying attention to it, and you'll spend so much less time on your garden, and get more production and enjoy it more
Yeah, that's my
by
favorite part.
moving
I
it.
Every time I'm walking, through from my front door to out to the shop, there's my garden right there. And I look at
Yeah.
it like, oh, hey, look, there's some weeds, or hey, that's looking pretty good, or maybe they're a little wilty. Maybe I need to get some more water in there or something. Yeah,
Yeah, I think that's great. Like, I encourage people when possible to put like herb gardens kind of on a walking path out to their garden. So
sure,
if the garden's not like almost right up against the house, sometimes like raised beds or container beds with herbs in them,
yeah,
because then you can be, let's say you want an omelet, you go out to your garden chicken system,
yeah,
you pick some cherry tomatoes, you pick up your eggs, you check on your chickens, you grab chives from the raised bed or the container garden on your
all
way
right.
in, chop those up, and you've got an omelet from your own property.
It's awesome.
Yeah. And it's fun because you get to walk through it and see it and enjoy it and smell it. Like, this
Yeah,
stuff all smells great.
yeah, it really does.
So,
There's nothing that beats
yeah.
fresh. Like it's amazing. Well, and then you have the wonderful, those especially those really pungent smelling ones are great
Mhm.
defensive, to keep out bugs. So if you have it right up against your house, you're not going to deal with as many flies and as many of those insects that are going to come in because got that barrier.
Yeah. No, and I love your setup. I haven't even gotten to see it yet. I'm kind of excited to, but the fact that you can, walk out your front door, you're on your way to work,
Right.
and, maybe you're gonna pick some peas and green beans on your way out, and you'll have something to snack on,
Oh yeah.
you
Well,
know?
yeah. So I've got cattle panels to make archways so that we'll for all of our vining stuff. We don't have any vining stuff planted yet, but that's beside the point. We'll get there.
You gotta start with archways.
Well, right now I'm waiting for the sand to get delivered so that I can get the pool, which was the whole thing that impetus that started all this was like, hey, we're going to cut a pool. Well, hey, while we're there, since I got the guy with the skid steer, let's go ahead and make a garden.
Yeah, cool. All right, so the next thing that I was talking about, or that I wanted to kind of think about, is if you're looking at your property, whether you've been there or you're moving in or you're looking at buying, look at the systems that are already working and working well,
Sure.
and try to piggyback off of those. So if you've got something set up and it's already working well, somebody put the garden in the right place, use it, just build it, like, make it better. Keep it where it is, though. Or if there's a pasture system that's already working well, watch it, observe it, figure it out,
Right.
and build on it and improve it, make little iterations rather than, ripping all the fences down because somebody told you timeless fence was good. And, now you just took down all your woven wire because you thought this one, it's like, don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. Don't rip
Sure.
everything out because something might be marginally better. Well, at the same time, realize that if a garden's in the wrong spot, move it.
Yeah, that's the thing about it. Garden is it's fairly easy to move. Fences are stupid expensive,
They are.
and
They're really,
they're a pain.
yeah,
Like
time consuming.
I
Yeah.
don't want to fuss with them. I've only got two sides of my field that are electric, and I don't really want to extend it, but I know I need to. Uh, yeah,
Yep. So then you want to look at what systems are missing and what problems will keep showing up if they're ignored. So systems that are missing would be like, oh, I'm having to lug water from the house out to my animals or the house out to my garden, or I have to
sure.
I have to have a 200-foot garden hose, and by the time the water gets to my plants, it's scorching hot or something like that.
Yeah,
Right.
so yeah, I don't have any water out where I was running cattle
Mhm.
last season, and so one of my potential solutions was I do have a barn that has a fairly decent sized roof,
Mhm.
and a water catchment system is pretty darn simple to set up,
Right.
especially for that application.
Yep. Yeah. The only issue with cattle is they'll go through water like crazy.
They do, yeah. So I did have to end up running a hose out there, end up with a timer on that one because water overflowing kind of wastes water and
Mhm.
makes a big old mucky mess because it was on the hillside and then it started running off and the
There's
cows were
some
slipping and
great options for that, actually. There's these
the
little,
float valve.
yeah, they're a float valve, but they like just hook over the side of
Yeah.
the tank.
Yep.
Not that I'd leave my hose on all the time with that, but then you can
And that
also,
was, yeah.
yeah. So
I guess
yeah,
maybe you
I
should run
like
both
those.
of them. Like maybe you had a float valve and a timer.
Mhm. I really like they're almost, those like egg timers that they had for
Yep.
kitchens. Yeah.
That's basically what it was.
Yeah. I like the manual timers. I
Mhm.
really dislike the,
The digital.
the digital ones.
Yeah, I do. I don't trust them.
Interestingly, they worked fine until COVID, and then something changed with the supply chain, and every single one I can get, it doesn't matter the brand, they all break and
That's
don't work
fine.
right.
Well, because there's only really a couple actual manufacturers out there. They just rebrand everything.
Mhm.
So yeah. I mean,
Yep.
gosh, most of those guitars that are back there, they're all made in the same factory. Most of the internals, they're all the same. It's not.
Right. Just slap a different name on it, you can
That's
charge more
right.
for it.
Yep. And there might be, well, I mean, when we had him on from Invictus Templar, we were
Mhm.
talking about optics. And they do the same thing. You have one major lens manufacturer, and their firsts go to the high end stuff, and then the ones that don't meet those requirements go to the second tier and tertiary, and and they just work down there. They trickle down. It's all the same glass.
Right. Yep, exactly. But there might be minor differences in
Yeah,
how it's put together or whatever. Yep.
yeah,
So the next thing that we want to do is we want to look at already, we kind of talked about this, but look at what already exists. So generally speaking, we're going to be looking at access, structures, water. So water means a couple of different things. One, how it moves across the landscape, as well as what plumbing or piping is in place. And then the last is going to be, power or some type of energy source.
sure. So
And
I was curious about because you listed access. So what
Mhm.
is it you're defining as access? Is that just infrastructure like roadways and gates and stuff?
Well, yeah, I mean, access is going to be you need to be able to get from one place to another to do something. So
Okay,
I can't run cattle on an area that I don't have access to.
right.
Right. And so maybe I need to bring in a forestry mulcher and mulch a path to put up fencing on.
Okay, yeah, sure.
And maybe I'll mulch that wide enough that then I can also get vehicles and things back and through, like a tractor.
Yeah.
So now I can move a water tank or something, whatever I need for those animals. Now I can move it with them,
Mhm.
and I can get vehicles and equipment where I need it. So yeah, I
One of the
mean, go
one
ahead.
of the best advices I ever got from an old farmer was he says, "I never regretted putting in a gate."
Mhm.
He's like, I've many times regretted not putting in a gate.
Right.
And so that's one of those things that I hadn't really thought about, but like that does actually make sense. Like you may not realize you need a gate. And I ended up here. I was like, I only have this one gate. I can't get my tractor through it. So that means I have to go all the way out through my front, around the side, down the fence line. I really wish I had, more gates in. So at some point I'm going to put in more gates.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, some type of access. Because I think the other thing is we get excited about systems and forget about access.
Yeah.
So, common explanation of this is swales.
Yeah.
And you go,
Right.
I want to swale all the way across the contour of my hillside. It's like,
Yes.
great idea. Where do you need to get a tractor, or where do you need to get a mower, or
Right. Yeah.
um, how
Well,
deep is this going to be? How big is it going to
exactly. I was,
be?
I was going to say, because one of the things I've learned from you is because in my mind, I was figuring like this big, gigantic swale, like it doesn't really take that much to stop or slow down the water enough to drive it down.
Right.
So that's, yeah.
And you're not trying to capture every last bit of rainwater. One of the things you're doing with swales is actually trying to push the water out to the peaks,
Mm-hmm.
because the water is, the
It's going to
water's
go
going to come.
naturally to the trough. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yep. And the swale takes that and pushes it back to where the peak would be. And so then the water's at the peak, and then it's going to run out to those, valleys again. So part of it isn't even so much, I mean, a big part of it is it's slowing, spreading, soaking, right?
Yeah.
But where you build the swales in such a way that the water percolates through the swale still when it gets full enough. And it's going to do that, at least in part, now on those peaks instead of out in the valleys. So now the peaks that were drying out during the summer and not providing any food or fodder for your animals
Right.
are now beneficial again.
Absolutely.
So yeah, that's hopefully that answers what you asked
Yeah.
about access. Structures, what structures exist? Is there a barn? Is the barn feasible? About 20 feet out my window right here is a shed, and I store my mower in it, and I'm just
Mhm.
hoping it doesn't fall down on my mower at some point. So, it used to be a chicken coop. I would never use it as a chicken coop at this point because it's not going to keep any predators out or
Oh,
chickens
yeah,
in.
sure. Yeah, yeah.
So,
There's a lot of fairly derelict, old barns in Middle Tennessee. Just driving around, it's like, oh, yep, there's one, and inevitably, like they just fall down. I had,
yeah,
the one across the street just completely collapsed last, winter. It's like, okay,
yeah, yeah, and it's unfortunate, but sometimes we need to realize that, and especially when buying properties, that something
yeah,
that looks like an asset might actually be a liability.
yeah, because dealing with that thing, like because if it is standing, dealing with it and bringing it down safely is a
Mhm.
pain.
Right.
After it falls down, it's not quite as bad, I guess. But then you have to deal with it then.
Yep. Yeah, we had when I was growing up, we had a barn, like a full-size dairy barn in Wisconsin, and it started to rack,
Oh yes.
right? And so my dad took uh, come along and
Yep.
a guy
Click, click,
wire,
click,
and
click, click, click.
it clicked it back up. Lasted for like 5-10 years, something like that. And
Hey.
then it was like, this is not safe anymore.
Right.
And the problem was we couldn't get in there to undo undo it to make
Oh,
it come down. And I forget what the final solution was, but for some reason, I feel like at least we were talking about like, oh, we'll just target practice with 22s
oh
on
yeah.
it
Right.
until it comes down or something. Right. Um, Anyways, we brought it down, and then the fire department, they did a practice burn on it.
Oh, hey,
So
there you go.
it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
Unfortunate because it was a
Well,
cool barn, but it
sure.
was, yeah. Anyways, structures. If you've got something, if you can use it, but don't get stuck on using it if it's not the right fit.
Mhm. Yeah, if it's in the wrong place or it's for the wrong critters or whatever, like, yeah, maybe you can, reappropriate some of that material to do something else. Maybe it's an accent wall in your house. I don't know.
Right.
Or in your shop like mine.
Yeah. Well, my chicken coop is it's entirely cedar logs from my forest, small cedar logs, and tin from a roof that a client was replacing. which was it should not have been on the house that long. Um,
Oh, one of those.
and a few windows that I pilfered off of different job sites, junk old windows you wouldn't want anyways. So,
Yeah, yeah, right.
but yeah, I mean, you can reappropriate things and get a lot of life out of them. And so that was free to me. It took about a day to put together, but it's 8 years later and the thing's still standing
Yay, it
and doing its
works.
job. Yeah.
Right. Well, and didn't you do the same thing with your kids' treehouse?
Oh, yeah. It's the same. Actually,
It's the
yes, it's
same.
the same tin.
Nice.
Yep. That one, I mean, I didn't pay for anything except for screws on the tree fort. So
That's
yeah,
awesome. And it's
yeah,
an
it's pretty
awesome tree
fun.
fort.
Thank you. Oh, um, they're not in there right now, but they're because I can. It's fun because when I'm in my office, I can just look out my window and
And they're right there.
a good chunk of the day with school being out now, they're up there
Sure.
playing. So,
That's awesome. That is a good childhood right there.
hmm yep, yeah, I would have. I had a great childhood and I had a great tree fort, but nothing like that.
Right.
Tree fort wise, yeah. So, another thing to look at what already exists is water. Where is it already available? Do you have wells? Do you have, do you have roof catchment? Do you have city water? What do you have? And then think about runoff and where that's moving. And obviously that could cause you issues. So water is one of those things you want to deal with right away,
Hmm.
both in having access to it and having redundancy in it, as well as making sure it's not doing damage to your property or systems.
Sure. Yeah. That's actually one of the things that I've, when people come into the shop, because they come, we're in Van Buren County, they come in for water filters. Well, I'll talk to them like, well, yeah, but what are you doing for your animals? And they're like,
Right.
oh, like, do you really want your animals drinking this water? Like, unless
Mhm.
you're doing like water catchment or have a, well or something, are you giving them this? What? Like, oh yeah. And so I'm like, okay, well, I have these other filters for this purpose.
Yep. Yeah, I do. I mean, our water isn't great, but it's not nearly as bad as yours. And I still do uh, a couple of pretty heavy duty inline filters just to
Oh yeah.
get rid of most of the chloramine and ammonia
Yes.
and whatever else is in there.
It doesn't need to be that or at all, but especially not for, living creatures.
Yeah. Well, and this is a tangent, but one of the big things with city water, yeah, drinking it, fluoride, all that, you don't want any of that. And I'm a big proponent of getting water elsewhere or filtering very, very well.
Yep.
But when you're in the shower and you're running
Yes.
hot water and you've
Yes.
got chlorine or chloramine, it's going to evaporate and then you breathe it in.
You breathe it in. Yes. Right.
And I don't know if it has the ability to turn into what would be hydrochloric acid or whatever, but it's either way, the chlorine into your lungs is
Not good.
not a good thing.
Yeah.
And the other things, because your lungs absorb so quickly and so directly into the bloodstream.
Well, yeah, they have all that surface area. They're
Mhm.
massive.
Yep. So taking a shower in your city water, even though you're not drinking it, is still
You're
problematic.
still breathing it.
And your skin's your biggest organ. So
Yeah.
So anyways, yes, I filter the city water that we're unfortunately still on.
Smart.
Yeah. So power is another one where you want to look at
Yeah.
what exists.
Sure.
So that's both on grid and off grid because some places have great solar exposure for if you want to do some type of solar or if you
Yeah.
want to do decentralized solar. And so the ability to do something like solar may or may not be available on the property you're looking at. And that's something you should think about.
Mm-hmm.
'Cause,
Sure.
like in your case, Jared, throwing, for the little few things you might need to do in your barn,
Oh yeah.
throwing I give you one of my $10 solar panels,
Right.
putting that on top, getting a
Plenty
$30
enough.
buck converter or, charge controller or something and an old car battery and you're good to go. And you've
Yep.
got good exposure all day.
Oh
Now
yeah.
run lights and maybe a DC pump or whatever else you need out there.
Yeah. Oh yeah. If I threw a couple panels, I wouldn't even need a couple panels, just a panel.
Mhm.
Yeah, that would be easy.
Yeah, one 300-watt panel up there with a car battery. I mean, you get exposure all day long. You could keep that topped off easily.
Yep. Yep.
So, anyways, just think about power and where it is and what you're going to do the things you want.
Yeah. Yes. What do you need? What, because like, yeah, if I needed power out there, then yeah, I would definitely want to. But if I don't need power out there, then maybe I'll, okay. So the little mini split that I've got in the shop,
Mhm.
it's set up for solar. So I can do solar primary and then it fails over to line power.
Yep.
So I could throw, one up on top of my roof. And maybe that's where I need to prioritize having solar is out in front of the shop.
Yeah. Reduce your power bill potentially
Yep.
without all the expensive inverters, charge controllers, all the
Yeah. Yeah. Cause that's
batteries,
my
all that.
main load on the shop. Cause, LED lighting doesn't take much. My
Right.
computer's this big. It doesn't, my sound system, I guess, would be the second biggest thing is the sound system. Cause I'm going to have good sound in there. Gosh darn it. If I'm going to be in there for 12 hours a day, I'm
That's
going to have
right.
good sound.
But you're right because you're really mostly in the shop during daytime hours, during sunlight hours. So
Yeah.
if you threw a few panels up there, you could really reduce the cost out there. I don't know how much that helps you, given that's the business side, but
So the funny thing is, I have yet to go over the minimum charge. I've never had to pay more than the minimum charge for my electric bill. And that's been the middle of winter, the middle of summer. No, I've never, maybe within $1 or two, but it's like, yeah,
really close.
it's really close. Like I actually don't really need to put a solar panel. That's why I haven't, but yeah, it'd be fun.
All right, so here's what we were talking. We've finally made it there, right? This is
Yep.
the main part of the show. This is what we teased you with. Actually, before we go any further, because I can't see everything, do we have any comments? Anything you want?
Oh, we got Vic's in there. What's up, bro? Shame on me for losing or wasting water. Yeah, yes.
Got some guys I can't pronounce. Roblox, nicer. Let's see what Mateo.
Saying hey.
Yeah. How you doing, man? So yeah, I got somebody over on Twitch. That's interesting. It's not no, it's just
AI.
a bot.
Yeah, it's a bot.
Great, we got a bot on Twitch. All right. So the first system that I put in here is the chicken garden system.
There you go. I like that.
Yeah, this is one of my favorite systems because it's this thing you can combine. And I'm gonna see. I was hoping to pull up. I'm gonna see if I can pull up a picture here. Jared, do you remember what it looks like? Can you give people a quick description of it?
Of the
chicken garden combo system, the swapping system.
So you're talking about like having the garden right next to your chicken. So like when you're in there ripping out your weeds or whatever, you can. So let's add that to. There we go. So you can throw your feed to the chickens or your scraps right over the fence line to the chickens, and then you can swap the chicken area to the other side every other year. So you got all that nutrients, which is great.
Exactly. So if you look over here on the left, you've got the chickens and they're in their run. This is, of course, an AI photo because I don't have a good photo of the real system and it's not quite perfect. But anyways, you put the chickens on this side, on the left side, and you give them wood chips, and their poop has high nitrogen, which is smelly, stinky, gross, right? And that's what everybody hates about chickens, or one of the big things. And the other thing people hate about chickens is they're always getting in their stuff and digging things up, right?
That's what they do.
Right. So that's their job. That's their God-given job, is to dig and to poop. And so rather than fighting that, you should be harnessing that. And so their poop, with wood chips specifically, not wood shavings, will bond with the carbon. So the nitrogen or ammonia in the poop will bond with the carbon in the wood chips, and that'll break down, but it also stops.
Can you tell them why we use the chips, not the shavings?
Yeah. Let me see if I can. So with chips, you've got a lot of end grain. So if you look at my hand and think of the end of my fingers as being end grain, and there being a lot of that because a chip is just kind of cut off across the grain. That end grain is where that nitrogen makes the bond with the carbon. The the what do you call it? With the grain,
Right.
that side, nothing really absorbs there, which is why straw doesn't work well. And wood shavings, they shave them really flat, so you only get this little tiny bit of end grain.
Mm-hmm.
And that means that wood chips, which are also free, so a big benefit there, are the best option here. Even if people tell you you shouldn't, like, if you're in a backyard chicken keeping group on Facebook, just leave it. just go somewhere else, because those people are nuts for the most part. And they'll tell you things like you can't put chickens on wood chips or they'll get bumblefoot or something like that. And yeah, bumblefoot is they'll get these like big
Like nodule things on their. Yeah.
yeah. And I think people think it's from like slivers or something. I've never had a single chicken with bumblefoot, and I keep them this way, in the with wood chips, both in their run and in their coop.
Sure. Well, it's like people who complain about keeping rabbits in wire cages, like, oh, but their feet. Like,
right.
Have you looked at a rabbit's foot? Like, they're not designed the same. Like,
yeah.
That's not.
They've got a lot of fluff on their feet. They have some resilience to that.
When they don't have the little nodule pads like a cat does, they have an actual, foot.
Yes.
Stacy did a great video. Stacy Sustainably-ing. Yes. Did a great video talking about that one.
Yeah, she did. I saw that one too. That was really good. I appreciated it because I hadn't heard it explained that well previously.
Yeah.
So, So anyways, you put the chickens on this side for 1 year, and they turn that up. They keep the weeds out. They eat the seeds. They eat the bugs. They poop. They create awesome fertilizer and compost. And because the nitrogen from the poop is bonding with the carbon from the wood chips, it's no longer hot poop. It's, it has a chemical reaction, so it's no longer going to be to burn your plants.
Right.
And so during your growing season, like you said, Jared, you take your rotten tomatoes, your spent lettuce heads, whatever you've got that you don't want, or your weeds, you toss them over to the chickens. So now the chickens are eating the highest quality feed they can possibly eat.
Right.
Using a lot less feed that you're buying from the store, making better eggs, making you compost, not smelling, not getting diseases. All well, anything you're taking to them from the garden, you're just tossing it over the fence. So it's super easy. And then next year you just swap it. You take their little ramp, and there should be a little
one on the other side.
Yeah. And the ramp, it comes out over here. You put in wood chips, you fill all that up. And then this side becomes your garden for the next year.
Rinse and repeat.
Yeah. Rinse and repeat. You just keep doing that. And every year your garden and your chicken area get better and better and better, till eventually you've got so much compost in there that you actually can start using that compost and taking it out and using it elsewhere on your property. And I'm trying to think if I did a short video on this. I'd need to do a long form video.
It was great though.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. It basically on one of my clients' chicken runs that we've done this with, where he's got like that much compost over like a 500 square foot area.
It was beautiful, rich, just wonderful soil.
Yeah. And it smells so good. And I think he has like 20 chickens. And so, he's doing this, and it's in the year over year, the amount that we got this year was like 3 or 4 times, I think, what we got last year.
Dang.
And so as you get the system up and running, and you get the, microbes and worms and everything else going, it builds a lot faster, and you'll find you have to keep putting wood chips in because they break down so fast. So
that's an awesome problem to have.
Yeah, exactly. So that's system number 1. That's one of my favorite things. If you can do it, if you have a flat enough area and you really, you want to go gung ho and start chickens and a garden the same year, or maybe you just want to start chickens and you let them in that whole space, and you start your garden year 2 or even year 3, you just let the chickens do their thing for a while. But that's my favorite system to recommend to people. It's not always the exact right fit, but when it is, it's golden.
Right. We got a comment. Jimmy, he says, new to the mountains of New Mexico, nearly 5 acres. Started with chickens. Currently building a garden to feed them. Looking to raise some pigs and possibly beef next year. Dude, that's exactly what we're talking
Awesome.
about. That is
Yep.
fantastic.
And I'm a big fan of one animal per year and trying to get to the point where you feel like you're really proficient with that animal. You've
Yeah.
kind of hit that 80% we've talked about before, the Pareto principle,
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
80-20, where you've got chickens down 80%, and the last 20% to get them like 100%, everything and everything dialed in
Right.
is a lot of work. At that point, once you feel like you've
You
got
can
them well
introduce
enough,
something else.
you can think about introducing something else. You might want to get a little further, but you
Yeah.
know, get that 80% first.
Definitely.
But
Definitely.
yeah, Jimmy, that's awesome. Love to hear people building resilience.
That's right.
So, system number 2, this one's a little bit more vague, but we'll talk about how you can do it in different situations. And
Okay.
that's meat production.
Yay. We
So
like meat.
the reason I put this as system number 2 is I think that we should all be producing meat on our own property.
Yes.
And
It
we
doesn't
should,
take much space. I mean,
mm,
meat rabbits, $1 and a couple doe meat rabbits will turn out hundreds of pounds of meat a year, and they don't
yeah,
take up much space at all. I could have
yeah, I
them in
think it's
my my basement.
right. Yeah, you could have them in your basement, in your garage. If you raise them properly, they don't have to smell,
Right.
um, or bad at least. And like you can do some incredible things with rabbits. I personally do a lot with various meat birds.
Yep.
So that's a really good option in small spaces. Quail are pretty cool because you can get
Quail
meat
are.
and eggs.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, pigeons are one of the easiest meat animals you can raise.
Well, that's why they're here. They were
Mhm.
brought over as a meat, product, so that we could have, meat, and then they just cut them loose.
Yeah. Well, let me like give my spiel on pigeons. I haven't done them personally. I know a few
Okay.
people who have. But here's the thing is there are pigeons that varieties of pigeons that you can get fairly affordably that are they're a little bit smaller than chickens. So they've got a good amount of meat on them,
Dang.
but they still fly. They provide a good portion of their own food. So 60 plus percent, they'll go out and forage.
A forage. Okay.
Yep. They raise their own young, and they'll raise their young, I think, somewhere around 6 times a year. It depends on the variety.
Okay.
So you get two birds 6 times a year, and squab, which is what people typically eat. So what'll happen is the parents will raise the young. This sounds terrible, but it's how you get meat. They'll raise the young out, and the squab will actually be basically full-sized pigeons, and they don't fly until they're like 100% adults.
Oh,
And so you just go up, grab them. You've got your meal for
got
tomorrow or
supper.
tonight or whatever. And they're, like I said, they're not that far off from the size of a typical chicken. And so a
Dang.
couple of them could feed a family. And
I shall name you Stew.
that's right. And so you can, and they stay around too. So if they're raised on property and given a little bit of food, that's home forever.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And so they can fly off, get their own food. They'll come back at night. They essentially go catatonic at night. So you can do whatever you need to with them.
Okay. What about
as
like predators? Like,
Well, that's why in basically, like Middle Eastern societies or in historical societies where they kept them, they'd have them, it would be like, in an attic, or it would be up
oh, okay.
high.
Sure.
And then they'd create it in such a way that like owls and things couldn't get in, because that was the primary predator, was owls and hawks.
Makes sense.
Once you put that up high. So a lot of people will put them in the top of like a barn or even a chicken coop. So in the top of the chicken coop, that's already surrounded by fence. It's already, predator proofed essentially.
Nice.
So yeah, actually, and their eggs are decent as well. They're not as prolific, but you're not feeding them much. So
Sure.
it's another
Yeah.
another egg source if you want it.
Yay.
And they'll keep laying. They're smaller, they're smaller eggs than a
Oh
chicken,
yeah.
but they're bigger than a quail. So anyways, it sounds weird, but historically and throughout most of the Middle East, people are still doing this
Ah,
because it's such a low cost to benefit ratio.
yeah, sure. Oh yeah, if
That
they're
they
self-foraging, then that like almost negates
yeah.
most costs.
Well, and you go to like a fancy dinner club, and
Yes.
squab is one of the things that's often on the menu. It's a very sought after. Same with
That's
rabbit.
yeah, yeah. Oh yeah.
So
What duck?
yeah, duck,
I want
absolutely.
duck. I want
Yep.
to do Muscovies. I really want to do Muscovies. Because meat, you got good eggs, high
Mhm.
protein or fat, eggs. They don't tear up your garden. So if you wanted to, run something through the garden to deal with your snails and slugs and other critters, they're not as detrimental as
Yeah.
they do compress the soil. The feet are, little splatter things. They smack everything
Yeah.
down. But um,
Yeah, no, they're amazing. We've got, let's see, four ducks and a drake right
yeah,
now,
nice.
and 3 of them are sitting on eggs, so we'll see what happens.
Hey,
But
nice. Now,
yeah,
which breed did you go?
Muscovies.
You did Muscovies? Okay. I
Yeah.
knew you had at least some. That's awesome.
Yeah, we've also got a few silver runners.
Okay, there you go.
So, um, yeah, there's a Rocky Pines sent a question through. You want to pull that up?
Sure. What's that
What do you
like?
say?
Set up the garden chicken compost system after your presentation at the Spencer Library.
Oh, nice. Yeah, cool.
If
Yeah,
anybody's
it's
in the Spencer area and Ryan does a class, definitely go and check it out.
yeah, those are fun. It's really
I
cool
love
to
it.
get to meet people. Yesterday I was out at the blueberry farm. I don't know
Oh
if you know
yeah,
about that one.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there's an organic blueberry farm up by you, and we were
Yes.
out there. Was it yesterday? Day before? Yeah, yesterday.
Nice.
And one of the guys who had attended the classes just came up. He's like, "Hey, how's it going?"
Ah,
Is and I don't know. It's cool.
it's a
Cool getting
small
to see
world,
people. Yeah,
especially around here.
right. So yeah,
If ever I get
Muscovies.
like two customers come in, the odds of them knowing each other are really high.
Yep, exactly. No, that's great to have that kind of community, though. Um, as far as Muscovies, they're actually surprisingly close to red meat.
Yeah. A really
They've
rich, darker meat. Yeah.
Yep, with some marbling, a bit of fat in the meat instead of just at the skin.
Right.
So very different as far as duck is concerned.
Mhm.
And they raise their own young. So
Yeah, they're
you've
good
got
mamas.
yeah, yep. I think with ours, once they start hatching out, we'll probably try to put them in chicken tractors for a while because
Okay.
otherwise, they get picked off by predators too
Yeah.
easily.
Right.
But anyways, yeah, I mean, not having to put them in a brooder and incubate them and watch them and take care of them
Right.
5 times a day, it's handy. So,
Yeah.
but obviously, if you've got more property, you can do things like hair sheep, which are amazing.
Mhm.
Various forms of cattle are super hands off. They take a little more space, but
Yeah.
um,
But if you've
yep,
got the space, you've got the water, you got, yeah, I get it.
mhm, yep. And you can integrate other things with them, like chickens or goats or
Mhm.
whatever. So lots of options, but that's something that I think people overlook. They're like, yeah, I want to do a garden, but as far as like meaningful calories and high density like nutrition,
Yeah.
meat and eggs are going to be where that comes from.
Yeah. That's top of the list. I mean, yes, have a garden by all means.
Mhm.
Absolutely. But there's one does not preclude the other. You
Right.
can have a garden and have, like we said, ducks, chickens, quail, dove, pigeons,
Yeah, all of it.
all.
The other thing I was going to say about pigeons, which I thought was really cool, is I was listening to somebody talk about them recently, and he was saying because homing pigeons, like once their home is their home,
Right.
unless they like find a female and end up finding a new home because of that, having a family, they'll always fly home. So you could keep one technically in a cage at a new place for as long as you want, months to a couple of years.
Oh,
Um, and they will, I think their muscles will atrophy. So there is some limit on it, but
okay. Yeah, sure.
you can 3D print a USB holder to put on your, to put on your pigeon. And so now if you want to send truly
Now that is,
uninterruptible
yeah,
messages, you send an encrypted USB drive,
that is
and
end-to-end encrypted.
yeah, you trade pigeons with your friends.
That's
And
hysterical.
yeah, and they can go, I think it's a couple hundred miles.
Oh,
Um,
geez.
yeah.
Wow.
So we could easily, you and I could raise
We go back-
pigeons and trade pigeons back and forth. And then you've
Now I'm
got
thinking,
now you've got your GMRS or whatever
yes,
frequency that you've got programmed to everybody's radios. So I could send a message to all of Spencer,
right.
total grid down, and we could be
That is,
messaging.
yeah, I say that is grid down communications.
But I mean, what can interrupt that, right?
Yeah,
Unless somebody's sitting there at the edge of my property with a shotgun to take the
that's,
pigeon
yeah,
down.
right. Boom,
You,
yeah.
you can't do anything about that.
No, because once it leaves, like it's just a bird flying through the air. Like who's going to care about that? But that's hysterical. Too funny.
Yeah. So Rocky Pine says that he had his meat rabbits. He had a trio in Tennessee, and that they got a lot of meat from them, and I believe it.
Oh yeah, they're prolific little buggers.
Yeah, I mean, for the space and the cost, you can get dramatically more meat for your inputs
Yes.
than with cattle.
Yeah, pound per dollar spent and time spent is it's really not even close. I mean, because you're not going to get a cow that will grow out is what 18 months, something like that.
Yeah, fastest, and that's you have to grain raise them because otherwise they won't put on fat.
Yeah,
Right?
but like you can butcher out in within a year multiple runs of rabbits.
Yeah. And you can usually feed them from a small property.
Yeah. Okay. That's a valid point. Hawks could definitely take out the pigeon. Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. No, but I mean, like, state level actors.
Yeah. Right.
I don't have to rely on the internet to get Jared a message.
That's right.
Rocky Pines.
Down pigeons up.
Absolutely.
Oh, love you, bro.
So yeah, I think we all need to start keeping pigeons. It's the only sensible thing to do.
It's the only. I mean, really, that's how we're going to sell it to our wives. Like, see, honey, you got to understand.
When FEMA takes over. Okay. With that said, let's go on to system 3.
What is system 3?
System 3 is alternative water.
Oh.
So, at least here in Tennessee, basically, there's very few places, even very rural places, that are not on some type of municipal water.
Oh, yeah. Right. Yeah.
Like you can go down the road that you expect to hear banjos playing on, and
there's water pipes there.
Yeah, yes. Exactly. Even roads where like I know the people and they've fought to not have city water brought in.
Yeah.
They bring it in anyways.
Yeah, they do.
So, anyways, having some alternative sources is key to survival in many ways.
Oh yeah. Well, it's a good thing just to have. I mean, like, okay, look, I have municipal water. I would love to have my own little well, even if I don't use it for my household. If I just use it for cattle, or if I just use it for the garden or whatever, just to have it as a backup is never a bad thing.
Right. No, absolutely. And yeah, to have a couple hundred gallons sitting in an IBC tote that's available if, city water turns off and, you just don't have enough. And now you've got your Berkey, you've got 200 gallons of drinking water now.
Yep.
So
exactly.
Water hauling. Yeah. Rocky Pines, he's on fire today. We're just crazy pigeon people. Number one, hauling water. Yeah, I think he's hauling water. So he knows what we're talking about.
I'm gonna say, considering where he's at, there's not a lot of options there.
Mm-hmm.
He's gonna have to, surface collection, rain collection. Yeah, that's really kind of your only. It's all you got, bro.
Yeah, and even surface collection is hard because it's very hard to put surface water into a tank.
Oh yeah,
without a whole bunch of debris and things in it.
Yeah. You'd
or
have to run it into a settling tank, and then
Mhm.
you're gonna have to, siphon off the top to a secondary or something like that, run filtration systems, RO or something. And okay, hold on. $100,000 for a 1,500-foot well. That's theft.
kind of
Like,
makes sense though. They've got to run a rigid pipe the entire way.
wow, that's a lot of money.
And you don't even know if you're going to hit water.
Yeah, right. Yeah,
And
that would suck.
then you've got to power that pump on solar because he's out there off grid,
Yeah, right.
which I do have a solution for, but it's still expensive.
Yeah.
You're like another 5,000 worth of parts to get the thing working. That
That's
doesn't
not
even include pipe.
horrible, but like that's
Yeah.
not great. Yeah.
No, with pipe and electrical, you're
Oh,
probably looking at 8 or 9 grand. Yeah.
dang.
On top of the 100,000. Yeah.
Dang.
So all right. Alternative water. So we've got roof catchment,
Yep.
obviously. Um, things like ponds. One of the big things that I talk a lot about is improving your soil so that you need less water.
Oh, yeah, right. Yeah.
Or
I
setting up
mean, just like anything, if the more less, how's that work? The less you need, the less you have to collect. Yeah.
right.
Whether it's
Yeah,
money or
exactly.
water or whatever it is.
Right. So if my garden doesn't really need watering because I have it heavily mulched and I've increased the organic matter and I've added biochar and there's a lot of
Right.
soil life and things in there, well, I need a lot less water storage, or my water storage can be used for other things.
Yeah. Oh, did you watch that video I sent you from John Lovell?
I started to, I didn't get
Okay.
through it yet though.
It's a really cool guy. I mean, like he's a really cool guy. He's, one of the guys that goes to John Lovell's church, and he's got this whole he doesn't have to water his land ever, his garden ever. It was just really cool. So
That is really cool.
if y'all want to go watch a really cool video, John Lovell, Warrior Poet Society, interviews some guy from his church about making gardens that don't need water. Anyway, it was good. Continue.
Yeah. No, it was very cool. He was using, I think, hugelkultur and
Hugelkultur,
a few
yep.
other things. Yeah, there's a funny, sad, but in retrospect, kind of funny story where this church community garden orchard kind of thing that had gotten
Yeah.
built up. A guy who didn't he was studying permaculture, but he didn't have a full grasp on things.
Oh,
Decided to put in swales with a integrated hugelkultur mound,
yeah.
which sounds
Drowned.
okay.
Drowned
Right.
everything.
Well, no. So in theory, this should all work, right? You get water in the logs and things underneath, and it kind of
Yeah.
wicks up. And great, you're watering your hugelkultur along with your whole swale system.
Yeah.
The problem is that everything in a hugelkultur, the bottom of the bed, is buoyant. And so if you're holding water back behind it,
Yes.
especially, if it's a mini swale or something, probably okay. But in this case, they were very large swales, which I'm generally not a huge fan of anyways.
Right.
And so it lifted up the entire hugel mound
Oh,
and
no.
it washed downhill with the entire, thousands and thousands of gallons of water behind it, pushed through the wall of one of the, neighboring buildings.
Oops.
And took out a good chunk of the neighboring building.
Oops.
Anyways, you mentioned hugelkulturs and we were talking about water. So
That's funny.
yeah,
Not funny, but funny.
yeah. So just, word to the wise, you integrate things appropriately, know what you're doing.
Ask questions. Talk to those who've made the mistakes.
Yep. With alternative water, one of the things I really like making sure is that there's some type of passive way to use it.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
So whether that's a pipe that goes downhill to a hydrant, I've set this up for a few different clients where they're collecting roof water, and then downhill a ways, we run a pipe, and then there's a yard hydrant that
Okay.
pops up. And so it's well below the tank. And so it's not
Got some
fast,
pressure, but yeah.
they've got a few PSI, and now they can fill up water jugs that they can run into their Berkey or whatever.
Nice.
And so there's no pump needed. There's a little bit of patience needed. But tying in something where we're you can do it passively, or the Love Farm out in Hartsville. We've got some tanks,
Yeah.
and they're about 15 feet above the garden, which
Okay.
PSI wise, we're looking at 6 PSI maybe.
Yeah, not
So
bad.
not a lot of PSI, and it's a small pipe. And so we've got a drip system hooked up. So you can turn it on and let it drip for several hours, and it does what it needs to. It's slow, but it works.
Hmm.
And we also have a pump we can turn on. So if we want that to go faster, we can. But if we have no power, we can still water the garden.
Perfect.
Yep. And we use it for watering the chickens. So when we grow out meat chickens there, they get watered through that system as well. Um,
Nice.
but I really, with alternative systems, I always love having a truly passive option. And then maybe also you have a DC pump that you can throw in.
Mm.
There's a lot of pumps now that will run off of your power tool batteries,
Yes.
which is pretty
We
cool.
love those.
I've
That gives
actually,
you so many options.
yeah, I built my own stick pump the other day.
Did you really?
Yeah,
That's fun.
you know those USB slide on like hoods for your power
Yeah.
tools. I
All
took
right.
one of those and I ripped the USB part out, and I just had the leads. I connected them to a buck converter,
Okay. Yeah.
and then I strapped that whole thing to like a PVC pipe.
Yeah.
And then I've got this little 12-volt DC pump that I put at the bottom. It's a
Right.
brushless DC pump. And
Yep.
then I ran a flexible pipe up through, and then it kind of comes back down. And so now I can go down to the spring and put that
Stick that
thing,
down into it. Yeah.
yeah, and turn it on, and it pumps water in until my container's full. And I don't have to, I don't have to worry about, basically it's an easy way to take water from, in my case, a spring, but you can take it from a tank or whatever else. And it's kind of a fun little build.
Sure. That's fun.
Yeah. I mean, it was like $10 worth of stuff that was sitting around in my shop. So
Right. Yeah. 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 Like, hey, I can use this and that, and I can make, do stuff.
But you can buy those stick pumps too, and I'm sure they're a lot faster than this one.
Get yourself out of spare parts. I mean, like,
Yeah, exactly. And it works. It does exactly what I need it to. I just have to wait for a couple of minutes, which is pretty peaceful anyways. So yeah, it's really kind of thinking about what happens if your main water source fails, and also thinking about, are there healthier alternatives for me and my family for water that we could be doing on my property, because I don't
Sure.
trust drinking city water.
Yeah.
I think that kind of covers so that's system 3, alternative water. All right. The fourth system that I put on this list, and they're not really necessarily in any given order, but this just happens to be the fourth one, is alternative power.
Mm-hmm.
So, Jared, you've got a few solutions for this in your shop, do you not?
We do. Mostly just solar. And we've talked about like hydro and the issues with hydro, and wind and the issues with wind. But yeah, mostly just the little solar panels. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, your little direct DC, USB solar panels.
Yeah.
There are so many things that run on USB.
Well, I sold 3 of those just this last week, because there's a whole bunch of guys who are coming in who like maybe work on road crews, and they're like, dude, I need something to charge my phone up. And halfway through the day, it's dead because I'm sitting in this road crew vehicle, and I don't have anywhere to charge my phone. I'm like, well, here, there's a 15-watt charger and it'll be done. And or like, oh, I've got multiple devices. Well, here's a 45 that's got USB A, USB C, and direct DC out, so you can even charge a battery. Or if you really want the big one, we can go with the 60-watt, and like you have all sorts of options.
Yeah, I mean, I think with that direct DC, can you throw it in your windshield and then plug it into your cigarette lighter and keep your car?
I don't have the cigarette lighter adapter, but they make them that will plug right in. Then there's a Canon connector, and there's also an MC4 connector that you can just plug right into it, and it'll keep your. I don't recommend 45 watts for trickle charging your battery. That's a little hot. The 15 watts a better one for that, but yeah.
Oh, is the voltage a little high on the 45-watt one?
It is.
Okay, got it. Well, you could get a 13.8 volt buck converter.
That's true. You could
convert it down,
and that would actually be better.
Yeah. But yeah, there's all kinds of other things you can do on alternative power, but you want to be able to keep things that are important to you running. So things like freezers, well pumps, internet, lights, battery chargers, diesel heaters, or other heaters that might need a little bit of electricity to get going or
Right.
to blow a fan, but otherwise they run off of fuel. Basic tools. I actually really like various power tools. The battery systems are great for general preparedness type stuff.
Oh yeah. Oh gosh. Well, I mean, we did an entire episode just on that.
Yeah,
Was like all the wonderful things that you can run off of a DeWalt battery.
exactly. And now one of the things that I've found, I don't have an example in my office here, but um, all the like Chinesium stuff that you can get, that Chinesium power tools, and some of them
Oh,
are
okay.
decent enough for your average homeowner if you're not like a
Yeah.
professional using them
Yeah.
every
It's not
day.
the like prosumer level of it, but they're
Yeah.
like adequately
Yeah.
okay.
I'd stay all brushless. Like if anything's
Oh,
not brushless and it's Chinesium, I'd leave it alone. Right.
sure.
But the brushless seems to have enough of, in most cases, enough of a jump up that it's actually usable.
Sure.
And one of the things that I found is a lot of these Chinesium brands use the Makita platform for their batteries.
That's funny. Of all the
So
ones to pick, why did they go with Makita?
maybe because Makita was less likely to sue them. I don't know.
Okay.
So, anyways, yeah. So I can get these batteries from all these different brands. Like CSI is one of the biggest ones. CEE or SEESII.
Okay.
And I've got some of their tools and really like them. For the most part, there's a few that aren't very good. But you can get all kinds of crazy, weird things for those at really good prices.
Oh, sweet.
Tire inflators.
Sure.
Like camping fans. For $100, you can get a 500-watt pure sine wave inverter with PD chargers and things like that on it. And it's like this
Really?
big. Yeah, and you just plug two of those inexpensive, knockoff Makita batteries in it.
Yeah. And you
And
hooked up to a no scope and it's actually a sine wave, like not
as far as I have
modified.
not personally hooked it
Okay.
up to an oscilloscope yet, so I
I
can't
really
say
want to
that.
see.
But yeah, I'm curious. I'm planning on ordering one. But there's
Heck yeah.
point being, if you have a battery charger system, like some type of solar system or a generator that you can top off these batteries,
Right.
you can keep lights, little fans, communications, cell phones, things like that running for basically indefinitely.
Yeah, right. Well, and that's like so communication. That's one of the reasons I love the newer Bow things is because they went to the USB Type C charging port. I'm like, thank you. Now I don't have to have AC and have a cradle to be able to recharge my radios. I can just directly plug, DC USB C, port right into the back of this, and then, or like I sell those wood stove fans so that you
Mhm.
have a fan when it's because it's a Peltier cell. It's not actually direct power by AC. It's self
Right.
powered based off of heat. It's like this is awesome because we don't always have power.
Thermocouples are really cool, or
They're
Peltier
fun.
generators.
They're
Yeah.
fun.
I wish they are more efficient. Hopefully we'll get
I
there.
know. Yeah, they're what, about 10%?
Uh,
Better than nothing.
I don't know if it's even that. Maybe it is.
Probably not. Yeah.
What
The
I
good
was
old
looking
tech
into them
cell.
is like 3%, I think.
Ouch. But I mean, like, so you have to oversize the cell in order to get it's just there. It just
Yeah.
runs. It doesn't really need to be perfect.
I'm just trying to read this comment. Do you want to pop that up and read it?
Jimmy's comment.
Yeah.
What you got here? John Malecki tested several brushless Strikon knockoff power tools. Me still had brushes. Smelling all. Beware of those tools.
Probably.
Yeah, I that wouldn't surprise me in the slightest. Really wouldn't, because it would take nothing for them to put in the description, "Oh, brushless,"
Right.
whether it actually is or not.
Yeah. And then they close up shop like a week later once they sell out of their inventory.
And most consumers wouldn't know what brushless actually even means.
No, I'm sure a lot of them are. I've had good, I've been really pleased with what I've gotten so far, but there
Sure.
are a couple where like I got a Sawzall that is just terrible.
Oh,
Everything about it was terrible. Got one of those mini chainsaws, which the specific one I got, I've been pretty happy with. It does, goes on a pole or by hand, and it's
Nice.
handy to have in the car. Um, yeah, you'd be
That's what's so
surprised.
hard is when you have such a small cross section of the market. You're like, okay, well, the one I got was good, or the one I got
Right.
was crap. Like your mileage may vary.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you're rolling the dice when you buy that stuff. But
Yep.
so far, with the exception of the Sawzall, the tools I've gotten, I've been really happy with, and the batteries have been really good too.
Mm-hmm. Did you ever get that the DC powered refrigerator cooler thing?
Mhm.
You did? Did it work?
Yeah. Yeah, it worked great.
Yes.
Um,
I was
so
hoping.
I think, well, if we're talking about the same thing, it was just like a Coleman, they call them a car
Yeah.
refrigerator.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's the same. They have them as a Peltier, or they have them with an actual compressor. Do you remember
It's a
which one
Peltier.
it is? Peltier. Okay.
Yeah, as a little one. I used it as if at a festival direct DC instead of no batteries involved.
Okay. Throw a solar
And
panel out there. Go away
yeah,
you go.
yeah, and I put a bunch of water bottles in it, and it had a little sign, "Free water, cooled by the sun."
Nice. But that's
So yeah.
what we're capable of doing is we can, if we can direct power with US, especially like USB or something simple like that, then yeah. And now you have a freezer that you can not have to worry about losing your stuff when power goes out. Like, well, I can throw a solar panel out in my yard,
Mhm.
and because I mean sometimes we do lose power in the summertime when it is hot.
Right.
So sometimes it's when it's cold, and then we can just throw our stuff outside, but not always.
Yeah. EG4 just recently came out with a window air conditioning unit that you can plug into solar.
That's the mini split that I have is EG4, and I've
Right.
been thoroughly impressed with that manufacturer. Like, not
They
gonna lie,
stand by their stuff. You pay a little
I
extra,
by
but
lightning, and they still replaced it. Like,
exactly.
it was not their fault, and they're like, no, we got you, and we're going to upgrade you from the old one to the new solar hybrid one. Like, okay,
Yeah.
cool,
It's kind of the opposite end of the power tools I was just talking about, where
yeah,
it's like
right,
when you deal with EG4 and with Signature Solar, you know what you're going to get. You pay a bit extra, but you're going to talk with a US representative.
right.
They're going to replace something if it breaks. Like you just have a much better experience.
It really did.
Yep. All right. So that's, I mean, we could go on
Oh yeah,
multiple
I know.
shows on various power, but we've talked about critical load infrastructure or critical load solar, which is
Yep.
awesome because it just runs the most critical things in your house. That's a great way to do it, but it's still expensive. It's not cheap, but
Right.
it's a nice backup.
Yeah, if you can, like, do it.
Yep. Clever Girl Reed says EcoFlow Delta kept my freezer and fridge going for 3
Running
days on one charge. Yeah.
that's impressive.
No,
Dang.
that's exactly what I calculated because I did a segment on Jack Spirko's show
Oh yeah.
with somebody who wanted to keep 2 freezers up and running.
Okay.
And that's exactly what I calculated the EcoFlow Delta. I think it was 3
Okay.
to be able to do.
Nice.
So, yep. All right, number 5. We've gotten there. Number 5 is of alternative systems is alternative heat.
Yay.
Because the reality is power or electricity is not a good way to make heat.
What?
And that's why I separated them out here. Now, there's a few ways to do this, but they're all going to be fuel based.
Sure.
So propane, natural gas, or
Yeah.
wood are basically your options.
Okay. How about decomposition?
Decomposition. Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you've got microbial decomposition. You could get
So a guy I
whale
know,
blubber.
he has his compost heap as his water heater,
Mhm.
and
Yeah, that's really cool.
you can do it. It's not I wouldn't say super reliable.
Mhm.
It's definitely not the fastest.
Yeah.
But it does work.
It's not maintenance free either.
It is not. Nope. It is labor
No.
intensive. Like, you're having to fuss with it.
Yep. Rick says heavy jackets. That's true. That's one way to keep warm. Yeah, the other thing is you can really scale down what you're warming. So if it's warming yourself,
Yeah.
you can do that easily. And there's now there's heated jackets, heated pants, heated socks, heated insoles, heated
Yep.
hats, heated gloves. And guess what they all run on?
Electricity.
USB.
Yep.
Most of them, at least. You know, there's proprietary stuff, but most of them run on a little USB pack, which you can charge up with the
Solar.
alternatives. Yeah, alternative powers we just talked about. Um, but yeah, generally speaking, you want to have some type of backup heat that will run if power is out. So in my house right now, we're 100% electric heat,
Mm,
which I really don't like. I think my next project is finishing the wood stove. So we'll
sure.
have that this winter. Um, but you know, you still have to buy or collect wood, which is a process, curing it, everything else.
Yep. Right.
Um, and so other things you can do kind of quickly that are a great option would be something like a diesel heater that you can run off of a little Jackery or EcoFlow Delta or
Yeah. Yeah.
um, something like that, where it runs the fan and the igniter, but the actual heat is created by diesel.
Sure.
It
And fairly
makes
efficiently from what I've seen.
very efficiently. Yeah. I can keep my living room, which is basically it's the biggest part of my house, um, plus the upstairs rooms comfortable enough to sleep in with
Okay.
a primarily with a diesel heater.
And that's a 5 or 8 kW.
I don't think they're actually any different. I
No,
think
I
they
don't think
do.
there are.
No, I
But
think
one
they're
of those like
yeah.
Vivor 8K.
Yeah. I mean, the one I have that I've been using, and I think I'm finally going to get rid of it, is I think it cost me like $68 a few years
Yes.
ago.
Right.
And I was looking online and I found a much nicer one for like $50 just recently.
Ah,
Um,
nice.
so you can have a two is one is none, three is for me type deal where you've got several of them.
Right.
But I actually run it on low for the most part. And you can, I think I calculated 26 hours on a gallon of diesel.
On 1 gallon?
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Dang.
So, how much is Rocky Pines? How much is diesel by y'all? I
A
think it's over
lot.
$5, but
Yeah.
yeah, it's not a good deal right now.
No.
Which means diesel heaters are cheap, and at some
Yeah, it's
point
true.
things might be a couple of years, but things have to change. I would think.
When my wife got the job having to commute, we're like, oh, we'll get the good efficient car. We got a little TDI diesel.
Hmm.
Oh. $6 a gallon. Like, well, there goes the savings.
Well, I mean, you're getting so much higher MPG, right?
It wasn't that great. I was so
No,
disappointed. We're barely in the 40. Like we're like 39. I'm like, well,
no,
that's not that great.
you need to
No.
ask the VW engineers how they bypassed all the emission stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And they locked this one down because they're like, no, we didn't. Dieselgate and all that stupid. I can't wait to get rid of all that. Anyway, sorry.
Yeah, can you modify those? Not that
Not
you
yet.
would. I'm sure you.
Oh, not that I would. No. Yeah, there's several systems because it still has the DEF fluid system. So it has that pump and all of the extra particulate filters. And it's been the mapping, the shift points are just stupid. You put your foot down and it doesn't go anywhere. And then all of a sudden you're burning out. It's like, this is dumb. Like, you guys don't know what you're doing.
Yeah, a little over engineered, right?
Very.
All right. Well, I think we're getting close to the end. If anybody has comments, throw them out. We'll try to get to them.
Yeah.
Jared, were there any comments that we didn't get to that you saw come through?
I think we've got most of Vic's and Jimmy's, and Clever Girl got her. Yeah, y'all have been awesome. This is sweet.
Yeah.
It's really,
Yeah,
it's a
thank
lot
you all
it's a lot of fun when if you have a, different perspective, ideas, different thoughts, experiences, whatever. Because your perspective may be really helpful to somebody else in the chat, and that's freaking awesome. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and I don't know everything. You don't know everything.
Gosh, no.
Like I said, we were at the blueberry farm yesterday and I was talking to the owners. I was like, I'd really love to sit down and pick your brain. Like,
Right.
what challenges did you run into? Like, what has been, surprising successes? What, like,
Sure.
I actually, I don't know that, I just met them yesterday, but I threw out, hey, because they're local and farmers, and I'd love to have them on the podcast,
Yeah.
give them, a few extra eyeballs. But to be able to talk with somebody who has a niche and like learn from them. So my point is, everybody in the comments, everybody watching, your comments are valuable. We actually really enjoy reading them and responding to them, when we remember to. And you bring something to the table too, so we appreciate that. So yeah, we appreciate you too, Jimmy. All right, so final thoughts. A good homestead is not built by doing every interesting project. It's going to be built by knowing your goals and pursuing those in a way that makes logical sense, one thing at a time, and
Yeah.
stacking those things together carefully.
Yeah. Prioritizing, what you're trying to achieve is really paramount. Like you really just got like, no, our focus at right at the beginning is going to be, power. Cool. Let's do that.
Mhm.
Then we're going to go, okay, now we got the garden. Okay, cool. Let's do that. Then we're going to get the critters. Okay, now let's do like,
Yeah.
just sequentially through the systems.
One, actually, quite a few people who I've worked with are, they're thinking about building a home, or they've dried in a home, but they're still living in a camper, and
Mm,
they're trying to start, 10 different systems. And it's like, you know what? Buy your meat, buy your veggies, find a
yeah,
local producer
right.
for now, finish your house, because you need a place to live. You need a home base that's done, that has a bathroom, that has, bedrooms for each kid, that has
Countertops
electricity,
and
that has,
yeah,
you can go in there and you can do something with all those, the 10 bushels of beans that you just grew,
yeah.
which, yeah, that's great. That's amazing. But do you have a place to prepare those? And are you going to want to kill yourself by the time you're done, or feel like you're dead by the time you're done
And can
processing
you
them?
store them? Like
Yeah.
you have a place to store them and just the mental load to be able to just go home at night
Mhm.
and be home and have that thing off of your list of things to do of like, oh yeah, but we still have to get the house done. Like that, just finish that and then move on.
Yep. And, approach projects like that, like Dave Ramsey's debt snowball, right? Like, you
Right.
got too many balls in the air right now, get rid of one, get rid of several,
If you
or,
can. Yeah.
yeah, if you can, and then work on getting what you have going, like all your ducks in a row, so to speak. Because I learned recently that ducks really do go in a row. All our ducks,
They do.
they're always in a line. Um, but you want to get those things done and settled so that you have a place to call home, a place to go to sleep at, a place to get rest and to
Yes.
enjoy, that's not always constantly on your mind, so that you can focus on one of your tasks, get it done, which I know I'm ADD, it's hard to do. Finish that one, move on to the next one, because now you have time, because you're not spending a whole bunch of extra time, fixing a broken fence over and over again,
Yeah. Right.
because you've actually fixed it.
Well, and then,
So
and then like be on your land. Like when I first moved in, and we've talked about this, like I had plans for my field, and it wasn't until I'd been there for a year and seen how the water, soaks up into the soil, and it's a marsh for like 2 months solid. I'm like, oh, I can't use this the way I had envisioned using it because when I
mhm,
first walked the land, it was dry. I had no idea. So it's really important to like if you want to do solar, cool. You need to actually see how the light comes and hits the land and how it you're going to best utilize it. Understanding your wait, but I'm also going to do a garden. Well, which is going to take the priority here, the solar or the garden? Because if you only have this one little patch, like we need to make some modifications. Maybe we need to down some trees. Maybe we need to change some plans. Being in the land and experiencing it is really important, but you can't do that when your brain is going 50,000 different directions all at the same time.
Yeah, and you never really get the chance to stop and dwell and
B.
meditate and be.
Mhm.
It's so important. You had mentioned watching where the sun goes. I was going to give a little plug. I don't know. I guess it's showing me, but you can see the solar path.
Yeah, yeah,
Kind of.
yeah. That's cool.
Um, Trying to figure out which way I need to go to show it better. There we
Yeah,
go.
that's
Um,
awesome.
but obviously it's nighttime, so the sun's behind the horizon. But
Mhm.
that's a free app specifically called Solar Trajectory or Sun Trajectory, and it's only available through F-Droid. So
Yeah,
the alternative Android app marketplace, but it
nice.
doesn't have the tracking. It's free. It's not sending all my data to some third party to sell. But those are really cool because what you can do is you can hold it up and you can watch. You can tell it, December 21st.
Mhm. It's
What
gonna be
is,
right there.
yeah, here's where it's going to be. Is there a tree right in my way? Or whatever, June 21st, and you
Mhm.
can see where the sun's going to be and actually get a feel for what there might be as far as issues with your solar. So,
Right. Or conversely, like, hey, maybe I want to plant a tree so that, the heat of the summer, there's a tree blocking my, so my house doesn't get as hot. So I'm going
mhm.
to plant my tree right there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you can plan things out that way. But you're right. Just being on the property, taking the time to think through, don't get stuck in analysis paralysis, but don't just start doing things to do things.
Yeah. And I think that there's some real value in having this community where you can bounce ideas off of people and people can encourage each other to get things done,
Mhm.
and or we can ask for help from the others so that we can get things, because maybe sometimes it's just overwhelming because of how much there is to do or how long it's going to take, and other people can come alongside and go, hey, no, we got this. We'll do this together. And then you can come over to my farm and you can help me to get my stuff done.
Yeah. Well, and it's yeah, I think when we think about what we could be doing, it's sometimes easier to see it on somebody else's property. So even just having a
True.
friend and going, like it's on my property sometimes, me as the homestead consultant, the guy who comes out and tells people, here's the order you should do things in. There's a point at which I go, I wonder what my next project should be. What would be the best
Sure.
thing, time, resource, and benefit wise.
Yeah.
Um, and but I can go out to anybody else's property and go, yep, here's your list, go do
It's
it.
just like, oh, well, yeah, of course.
Right. And so there is a bit of for me, that's hard.
Sure.
And I can't imagine for somebody else who doesn't have the experience and knowledge that I've compiled
Yeah.
over time,
Right.
um, and doesn't have the necessarily the same brain as I do, like that could be really challenging. And so to have somebody be able to one, you sit back and watch and go, here's where my real bottlenecks are. And two, have a friend who can come in and you can ask them, brainstorm with them and talk with them about it. Maybe that's your spouse, or maybe it's somebody who's not quite so overly connected to the spot you're at.
Yeah. Not being so quite so close to it can very much help having a better perspective.
Yep. Yeah, being able to see the forest for the trees is helpful.
Oh, cool. Looks like Clever Girl. I'm assuming this means that, yeah, she has an iPhone.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah,
Sunlit.
Sunlit is another app.
Nice.
Hopefully it's free or, free with ads or something like that. That was one of the issues I was running into is some of these free ones, they were great. They'd
Uh,
show you like the day that you were looking, but if it's, if you want to look in December and it's June, you couldn't change the day.
oh, sure.
You had to pay extra for that. So it was
Of
like a
course.
freemium. And you really need the ability to see in different periods of the year.
Sure. Sure. Sure.
Rocky Pines, I drive myself nuts. I have so many projects slated or in progress. Yep.
Yeah, I get that.
Yeah.
I
And
do.
sometimes you just have to get things done. But it can also be hard not to start on the next thing that seems interesting or useful,
Mhm.
especially if you hit kind of a roadblock in one thing and you're like,
That's what
oh,
I'll do. It's like, well, I can't continue on with this. So what's next?
right. Yep, exactly.
Or if, like I ordered something, months ago and it finally shows up, then I want to just drop everything else. And hey, I've got my thing. I'm doing that.
Hyper focus.
Oh yeah.
The other thing I want to say kind of as we wrap up here is, as you're looking at your system, if you're already on a homestead and you're looking at what you've got, I would say ask yourself, first of all, what are my goals? How can I pull back from something that I'm doing that is not actually pursuing my goals?
Mm,
And then what system would make everything else better?
okay.
So that might be, you're like, in my house, one thing that would make everything else better would be a water system. So
Oh, okay.
I don't have a big property. We can run hoses, and I really don't water my garden other than getting seeds, getting things started.
Sure.
Um, but to not have to run a hose over to my chickens, once every couple of months when I fill up their barrel, or, to not have to carry water over to the rabbits, or, whatever it is, to have water systems kind of spread through, or even just a hose bib on the other side of my house,
Oh yeah. Right.
which would be pretty easy. Um, so something like that, where it's like, that'd be an easy thing to do. $50, I get a hose bib. I've got all the plumbing parts. I don't like crawling under my crawl space, but I'll do it, and it'll make life a lot easier for me and my kids
Sure.
and my wife, for that matter. So that's probably the next meaningful homestead upgrade that I need to do. And thinking of things like that, where it makes life easier for a little
Sure.
bit of investment, um, across the entire system, is going to
Hmm.
be, look at what you can do that will do that.
Yeah. For me, it was my tractor. I assumed that I was going to have a tractor to be able to maintain, 8 acres or whatever. Didn't even think about running cattle or other critters in the field to take care of all that. And really, I only needed a little lawn tractor, or, zero turn or something like that, because I'm just mowing this top area. And now I'm not even mowing much of the top area either. I've got my little paths cut through,
Mhm.
and that's working wonderful. So I'm actually going to get one of those old school helical push, mowers. I'm gonna give it to my son. Go, hey, you get to push the sucker around, keep
Path.
the path clean. We're good.
Yep. I like to mow down high stuff like that with a bush hog if I can, every like few months,
Yeah.
just to keep the chiggers and ticks and things down. But
Well, I don't want to do that because I want to recut the paths in different ways.
sure.
Just because I wanted that, and then
Yeah.
we can, as we're going through, we're planting different stuff. So I've got mostly white clover now. The crimson clover will be here, so we'll have that interspersed,
Oh,
and then
that's
we've got,
pretty.
oh, it'll be wonderful. I'll love it.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, Jared, do you want to, as we wrap up, let people know what you do and how they can get a hold of you?
Sure. Let me see this new system. I have not, or I don't remember how I do things in here.
Yeah.
There it is. Okay. There we go. Okay. So I'm Jared Wilson. I own Resilient Living. So Resilient Living is a small shop on the corner of Hodges Ferry Road and 111. So if you're in the Middle Tennessee area and you're anywhere near Sparta, Spencer, Cookville, McMinnville, Smithville area, come by and say hi. So my store is, I for one, I'm a firearms dealer, and a gunsmith. But beyond that, I sell books on all the things that we're talking about. We do classes. I mean, we do classes with Ryan. I do firearms safety classes, CPR classes. I've got a whole bunch of different people who are going to have a basic land navigation class here shortly. We got some good stuff. And then I've got camping gear and water filtration systems and knives and, yeah, I've got a lot of really weird things. I like
Cast
to think that,
iron,
yeah, right. Yeah. Cast iron skillets and pots and things and canning, stuff.
quality
Yeah,
pants.
I think it makes sense. Like when you come inside, like, it's like, oh yeah, it's like all the things you need, all the
Mhm.
things you want to have. It's like, dude Mecca.
Yeah, absolutely. And for the wives out there who are thinking about Father's Day and can't find a gift,
We have
talk to
gift
Jared.
cards. Gift cards are good. I'm just saying. Anyway,
Yeah.
so yeah, you can find us resilientliving.com. You can find us on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, all the things. Resilient Living is our handle for everybody. Resilient underscore living for TikTok. That's the only one that I couldn't get. But anyway, that's me.
There you go. All right. I'm Ryan Steva. You can find my stuff at thehomesteadconsultant.com, or, just look me up on YouTube or TikTok at the Homestead Consultant. I try to put out a lot of good content. Well, not a lot. I try to put out content that is good. It's not as much as I'd like, but there's quite a bit of back catalog. So if you want to check that out, I'd highly recommend it, because there's a lot of, I try to be really honest and helpful in DIY side, even if it's not beneficial to views. So if you want to check that out, you can find that at TikTok and YouTube.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate everybody jumping in and all the comments and everything. So if you can like, share, subscribe, do all the things, let's break YouTube's algorithm and get people the information that they need to live resilient lives.
Absolutely. Thanks.